Welcome back, everyone, to Tiff Talks podcast. I am here with not only my co-host, Miss Farrah C, but one of my dearest friends, Ashley Casey. I'm so excited to have you guys really get to know who this beautiful woman is. You know, Ashley Casey is an Instagram expert and social media influencer who has worked remotely from her phone for the last 7 years. Starting out her career in network marketing, which is where I actually met Ashley. She grew a massive organization of over 23,000 people and became a top leader in an industry millionaire. And she is no longer in the network marketing space. It became the catalyst to where she stands today. Ashley has built her own online social media business into a thriving 7-figure income. She also is a special woman from the inside out who is learning the ins and outs of what it takes to succeed online, and combined it with her boundless energy and her commitment to educate and advise her many clients. Ashley co-founded iSocial Marketing and recently launched her first online course, Social Savvy. Basically, it all wraps in how to master your Instagram for business, empowering other women to follow her lead. And you guys, I get the honor of bringing her to all of you today. And Ashley, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Tiff. Oh my goodness. Talk about an introduction. You're so sweet. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah. And so you guys, we all know what Tiff Talks is about. We're going to get real raw and juicy with Ashley. And I really want you guys to know Ashley, how I know Ashley. Ashley came into my life like a wrecking ball. The first thing she said to me, she literally came up to me and she said, "How do I get a butt like yours?"
Oh my gosh. Doesn't everybody?
It's so true. But you know what though, Tiff? I feel like a lot of girls don't do that. They don't give a compliment. Like a lot of us are kind of like we hold ourselves back, and I'm all about like empowering that other woman. And I feel like when you do that, you break that shell, I guess you could say. But yeah, like, and ever since then we've been like this because you have a great butt.
Well, first and foremost, thank you. And I'm so glad that you came up to me because I was in the back end. I was super shy, and I'm very I observe every situation before I go in to say hi, which is crazy because from a network marketing standpoint and being very successful, you guys, that's how I met Ashley, was at a executive. It was a retreat that we were invited to, paid for by our company. And that's actually how I met her. So in network marketing, that's definitely not a trait to have, but it was really apparent that when she came up, no wonder why she's been so successful in that area. But what I'm so glad, outside of business, how we met, and right when she came up to me, it was like an instant connection. And I feel like that's how you are day in and day out through your social media platforms as well. And I feel like everyone feels like you're their bestie, or you're their girlfriend, or you're their, whatever it is. You provide that warm space for everyone. So I want to ask you, what was like your number one back end story of how you even got into all of this? Like, I want to hear about the Ashley before network marketing, before the 7 figures. I want to go back there.
Okay. It's definitely a long story, but I'll try to make a long story short. So I do get asked this a lot, actually. But my husband and I actually started dating when we were 15. I was, a junior in high school. We met at a football game. And neither one of us really were involved with football, but somehow we both ended up at the game. And then 3 days later, he asked me to be his girlfriend, and we've been together ever since. So, 20 years we've been together, married for 15.
So cute.
Yeah, thanks. So with that being said, Chris and I have always worked hard for everything that we have. I mean, at my first job, I was working at Winn-Dixie as a cashier when I was 15, and then Chris started working at Circuit City back in the day when they were still open. He was like the youngest manager there. I was working at a store called Famous Four, which was amazing. And then we got married. Then we had Ethan. And at this point, I was a stay-at-home mom for 7 years. We decided that this would be the best move for our family. But at the same time, my husband sacrificed. He worked 2 jobs for 7 years. He worked during the day. He worked at night. It was constant all the time. So to really make this short, I remember Chris coming home one day and he had said, "Honey," he's like, "I think you need to get a job now. I think it's that time." And I could sit here and tell you that I cried myself a bath, right? I could fill up my bathtub with my tears. And the only reason why is because I wasn't confident in myself. I didn't believe in myself. Neither one of us had a college education. You know, we just started so young. We had our mortgage payment, bought our first house when we were 19. Like, it was just, what do I do? All I really know is, you know, raising my son. I know toddler talk, you know, but what am I supposed to do at this point in my life? So that being said, I did a lot of soul searching within myself. I did a lot of praying, asking God to give me like just the strength to feel up my heart of who he created me to be, and for him to align me with that perfect job. And so I ended up working at a private school, which literally my son ended up going to, but I was the office manager there for 2 years. But funny how that whole thing happened, because there was like 150 applicants at this time, right? And I came in there and they told me just to go online and fill out the application. That's like the new thing. You don't show up anymore with like a resume. You have to apply online. I'm like, what is this? So that was already new for me. But then as I was leaving, they opened up the door and they said, Ashley, come back tomorrow and let's have an interview with you. So I went back the next day, and out of 150 applicants, I sold myself. I remember going to Payless, and I bought myself a pair of $15 wedges, had a cute little dress, put my hair up in a bun, and I sold myself. I walked in there and I still stood tall in my Payless wedges and said, you know what? I don't have the experience that you're looking for, but I'm easily trainable and I can do this. I know I can do this, and I will be the best asset that you ever had for your entire company. And I was there for 2 years. I loved it. I loved the staff. I loved the kiddos. And then from there, network marketing fell in my lap. And so my first health and wellness company that I was with was actually brought to me by my mother. She was my upline. She told me all about this product and how amazing it is. Sure, Mom, I'll try the product. Little did I realize that I would build an organization of over 22 or 23,000 people. And that is really the catalyst as to where I am today, right? It was the start for everything. Created this vision board, wanted to retire my husband from both of his jobs, which I did. You know, he got his life back. It really truly was. It was more than just personal development for me. Like, I really truly found myself. I became confident in myself. I knew what I could bring to the table, and God provided all that for me through really not just my first job as an office manager, but also all the things that I never realized that I could do and what I could master was from network marketing. And so that being said, Tiff, brings us to where we are now, which is, you know, having our own social media agency, and it's utilizing all of the past experiences with being a network marketing millionaire and all the things that I did to get to that point. Now I'm able to work with everybody in every industry and really show them how to utilize Instagram as that platform that will take them to, whole new levels in their business.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I know that, you know, you've definitely helped me along the way as well to a lot of our amazing success. And, you know, that's what, first and foremost, as a friend, that's just who you are. And I'm so, so, so grateful. But you did say something that stuck out to me. And, you know, just going back into your story, you said you had zero experience in literally anything at that point, and you just knew how to be a mother. And you said that you sold yourself. What's interesting is, you know, I mentor a lot of men and women, and they have, you know, struggles, or, you know, if they're in a company or whether it's within wellness, but really when they're starting their own brand and they're starting their own business, or they're in a marketing space, what I always tell them, and what you just confirmed, is, you know, people want to be with you and whatever you come with, it doesn't matter. So when you say you sold yourself, right, you showed up, you said, hey, I have a great work ethic. I can learn anything if you teach me, and you did. And now it's catapulted into your now career. So
yeah.
Going back, like, what would you say would be the number one advice when it comes to, quote unquote, like selling yourself on social media to help amplify sales, or, you know, whatever it is that you put your mind to behind your brand?
100% authenticity. That's going to sell all the things. Of course, you have to sell yourself first before you can sell anything, right? And authenticity is where you're going to find that. So showing up on your Instagram stories and showcasing, I say this all the time to my clients, it's showcasing the 3 loads of laundry that's relatable to the other mama that's doing the same thing, right? It's showing up where, sure, people go to my page and Ashley looks so pretty in all these pictures and she's done up, her makeup's done. Sure, it's my grid. Cool. Go on over to my stories, because that's where you're going to see the behind the scenes. It's going to be me like after a workout and I'm sweaty and I have no makeup on, right? It's really just showing up as yourself. It's bringing value to your followers, but at the same time, still showcasing really, truly who you are and what you're bringing to the table. And that right there is going to bring a tremendous amount of people into your business.
And you guys, she has a martini as we're speaking. It doesn't get any more authentic.
Well, listen, it's 4
I
o'clock
love
Florida
it.
time right now. I normally wait till like 5:30, wine 30, but I have been on back-to-back Zooms all day today, so I deserve this.
Yes, and for you guys out there, let's just talk about real raw side of Ashley Casey. So I love that, you guys. And, you know, with being authentic, what we preach about most here at Tiff Talks is, you know, we don't have to say real talk or let's keep it real, right? So we want to talk about authenticity. So I'm going to dig deep with you, Ash, and I really, really want to know. So going back into your authentic roots, right? So let's talk about your day to day. And I speak with a lot of women as well. I coach a lot of women as well. Let's keep it real. As a mother, okay, how were you able to create that much success with a sweet baby boy on your hip? Because I know a lot of people will say, oh my gosh, I couldn't do this because I had a toddler crawling on me, or oh my gosh, I couldn't do this, or I couldn't do this. You know, life got a hold of me. How were you able to overcome those like excuses, you know, and instead of using him as your why? And I always tell everybody, you know, use your children as your why. Don't use them as your excuse. Yes, it's definitely a challenge, but what were some things that you had to overcome being that extremely successful 7-figure earner while having that sweet baby boy on your hip?
Yeah. So at that point, Ethan was in elementary school. So when he was at school, that was when I was really able to, you know, get to work, really put it in the grind, right? Because I knew at the end of the day, as soon as I pick him up, it was going to be more about Ethan. As he got older, it started to get easier and easier, of course. He becomes more self-sufficient, which, I mean, he's 14 now and he's doing virtual school. So he's totally fine now. But at the time, more than anything, it always is going to come back down to sacrifice. It all is, where do you want to be at the end of the day? Where do you see yourself? Where do you picture yourself? What's your future look like? So if that means that you have to sacrifice some things to grow your business, then that's what you need to do. If that means you need to hire a babysitter for 2 hours so you can go in your office and you can really get in the grind to grow your business, then that's what you need to do. Yeah, and I'm not going to lie, you know, it is real, right, on Tiff Talks here. So there's been plenty of evenings too, though, where I probably didn't eat dinner with my family, which is awful. You know, there's a lot of things as we get older, we look back on and we're like, man, was I really that good of a mom? Did I do all the things that I should have done? But at the same time, I can sit here and tell you that the nights of the blood, sweat, and tears that I put into like the hustle and for, you know, creating the future that we have now, it was totally worth it. You know, I spent those 7 years being with Ethan all the time, volunteering in his classroom, to going to like working full time, literally working full time. But I mean, I also had a supportive spouse at the same time as well. You know, he's always been there to cheer me on and to help level me up. Yeah, it's just been amazing. But anyway, my whole point to saying that is you have to sacrifice some things to get to the goals and the vision that you are wanting. You know, how are you going to manifest that? It's not going to happen if you're not putting anything into practice to get there.
I love that. I love that. And you guys, a big, big nugget right there was having a supportive spouse. If you have your spouse in the picture, that's really, really important. It really goes down to your circle, you know, and really understanding who those people are in your circle. Are they bringing you up? Are they bringing you down? Are they holding you back? Are they pushing you forward? You know, and which makes me, you know, really want to ask you, because I personally know that during my growth, you were with me through a lot of it. And thank God for you, because there was many times where I'm like, you know, you've just given me your heart, you've given me your, you know, advice, but you always were that supportive friend. Looking at your life right now, where can you say that you've really had to really hone in on who that circle is? And, you know, I know that there was a lot of ups and downs through your growth, and, you know, me being your friend, we related on so many, and we don't have to go very deep there if you don't want to, but I want you to share with everyone what you had to do in order to elevate, because I know that that does require maybe letting go of some people that you thought were the closest to you.
Yeah, yeah, that's really good. That's a good question. So, what I call my circle, I say it's my board of directors, because there is a time where my board of directors, right, were not leveling me up at all. In
Mm,
fact, they were actually bringing me down. And it's because they always stayed at that same level in life. Um, whether they were raised that way, I don't know. Most of the time, it ends up being on how they were raised, right? What their parents went through. And so for me, I always have had that entrepreneur spirit where I wanted more in my life. And so, yes, have I struggled and I've gone through the motions of losing friendships and all that? Of course. And I actually appreciate all the things that have happened when it comes to my board of directors, because it's really built me up to where I am now, being a little bit more thick skinned, but also knowing at the end of the day that the board of directors that I have now are always going to be my people. They're going to be my biggest cheerleaders, as I'm going to be for them. It's not about a competition. It's not. It's about up leveling each other, cheering each other on, supporting each other. But then also at the same time, these board of directors that are now in your group, you appreciate so much, so that if they say, well, Tiffany, let me tell you, I actually don't think you should do that, and let me actually tell you why, you understand what they're saying, right?
I
Because you know
really
that
like that.
they only want the best for you.
mm,
As where before, it was always just so negative. It was always so negative. I found that when I was up leveling myself, it creates jealousy. As
mhm.
much as they want it, they might want it, but they're not saying congratulations. They're not doing anything because they just don't understand. They
Yeah.
just don't understand. They don't have the mindset. So that's within them. I
Mhm.
don't hold that. I don't hold that in anymore, because they just really don't understand. But I just wanted more from my life, and I wanted more from my family. So now when I have my
Mhm.
board of directors are tight. And I
Yes.
love that. I love that. I mean, the community that I have ever since we moved here to Sarasota, Florida, like, has been like, it gives me goosebumps and it gives me chills, because these women are phenomenal.
Yeah.
They are successful in their industry as well. Therefore, I relate with them because I want that. And so we can go back and forth with each other and help each other out. And it's just been a huge blessing. Yeah.
I love, love, love that, because I think that's one of the toughest things that we can do is, realizing when you're in a toxic relationship, and it doesn't have to be with a partner or a spouse. It can actually
Mm,
be with a friend, and really identifying that. And sometimes people can get caught in the cycle, and, with being caught in the cycle, you really don't know when to jump off, because you really thought that this person's your friend, or they're giving you corrective feedback or
right.
corrective criticism. But in turn, like, I think you said some very powerful things, like it could actually be jealousy, or it's their mindset and they just don't understand. And so
Hmm.
I I brought this up a long time ago about having a monkey leash. It's a funny story, but when I went to Disneyland, my mom put a monkey leash on me when I was like 3 or 4, because I would like run all over the place, and she's like, no, come back. But now I use it as an analogy. It's, think about being on that child leash when your parents like trying to pull you back. This was like in the 80s, guys, so bear with me. But it's really like a gravitational pull. It's like you're thinking like, wow, this person I thought was in my corner, but they want to pull me back the
Hmm.
more I up level. Or they'll say something in the lines of, oh, you're changing, or, why did you go and do this? Or, you're not the same person I knew. And in a sense, you're like, well, good. I don't want to be that same person. You're
Exactly.
keep changing. So
Yep.
what are like the top 3 things that you can really identify when you need to cut that leash off and really just say, all right, you know what, either, we're going to grow together or we're going to grow apart. So what are your top 3 things that you can give everyone?
Oh goodness. Well, I would say if they're not cheering you on at the end of the day, like, that's a huge like red flag, right? We'll talk about the red flags here. So if they're not cheering you on, that's a red flag. If they are not changing their circumstances, if they're not trying to up level themselves, then how are they going to up level you? Right? Second red flag. And then I would say the third red flag would be, goodness. I mean, communication for one.
So good.
Yeah, I think communication is big. So if I know if somebody is in my circle, like, they're always going to be that cheerleader, right? they're going to have that spirit to do that. I don't know what I said for number one. It might be the same thing, but either way, you just know when you know. And if they're not up leveling you and they're doing the same thing, they're living for every Friday night and Saturday night, they're going out to bars and they're drinking and they're doing all the things and they don't have any goals for their own life.
Yeah.
You know, like you just know.
Yeah.
So, and it's unfortunate. I've lost a lot of really close friends in my life that I still care for and I still love. I pray for them every day, but I also know at the end of the day that they're just not for me, and that's okay.
I love that. You guys, I hope you're taking some notes on that, because I know a lot of the times we can have those naysayers or people in our life that will continue to create doubt. And especially when you're excited in a dream and maybe you've joined that network marketing, or you started that business, or you did that little, makeup thing or whatever it is. And then you have someone pulling you back saying, what are you doing? What is this? Or, and it's just, go do you, boo. That's kind of where I'm at. Right? It's like, just go do you, go mess up, get messy. Who cares what anybody says, as long as you're happy doing it. And you really do have to have that circle of friends. And, now going into circle of friends, like I really want to talk about, a lot of what you do on a day in and day out. So, I look at you and I'm so proud of you, Ashley. I really am.
Thank you.
You grow so much just in a year alone. Like you've worn many hats just in this last year. Now, I do know that we've had some breakdowns together as well.
We have for sure.
I want to talk about that. How are you able to manage, now that you've gotten towards that freedom aspect of your life, yet you're still, creating new brands, new ideas, new everything, because we're ever so evolving, especially during a time like now, and where everything is online. Where would you say that you get to work on balance, and then share your tips with us?
Sure. So what's great about being your own boss is you get to make your own schedule, right? So my workday literally starts from 12 to 5 is when I do my Zooms, back-to-back Zooms, coachings, whatever. So for my personal development and for my own time, I wake up at 6:30, 7 o'clock every morning. And then I then go for my run. I try to do like a 5-mile run Monday through Friday, because for me, that's my release. That's where I don't think about
a hero.
And don't take this the wrong way, listeners, but so I don't think about family. I don't think about business. I don't think about literally anything. I just put on my AirPods, listen to my country music, and I just go. And then on my way back home, then I put on one of my Audible books, right? So I can't run to a book. It just doesn't work. I have to run to music, like either classic rock or country or something that's just, I have to do that. So on my way back, I listen to my Audible books, whether it's The Secret, The Power of Awareness, or a podcast, right? The Tiff Talks podcast, or Jenna Kutcher, The Gold Diggers, like whatever I can feed my brain with is what I do on my way home. So that's very important. It's my me time. And then in the evenings too, I might even just take a bath. I might take like a 30-minute bath. My husband brings me a glass of wine because he knows that I worked hard all day, but I want to say that it is so important at the end of the day that you are taking time out for yourself and you are putting in that time for personal development, because when you don't, your cup is going to run empty, right? And you are not able to give. You're not able to fill up anybody else's cup if your cup is empty. So you are number one at the end of the day.
I love that. And
you are number one at the end of the day.
I love that. And, if you guys are listening and really listening and taking nuggets away from this, personal development is everything. I know when we say, we don't have time, or we, take it from someone who has a son and a husband and an entire, organization that she's running currently with her brand, that she still makes time for herself. There's always, that 5-minute window, whatever it is that serves you. It's very, very important. And I love that, if you guys do watch Ashley Casey on her social media, I love when, Chris brings you a mimosa, or he brings you coffee. I'm like, he gets Husband of the Year award, you guys, and they've been married since they were, how old now? So you said.
Sorry guys, that's my Facebook Messenger in the background, if you can hear that. I should have turned that off. But yeah, so we've been together for 20 years, married for 15. But it's funny because when Chris and I first started dating, all throughout our 20s, we never got into that scene. We never were partiers. We never had we didn't even know about liquor, really, what was all involved. We just weren't big drinkers. And then it's not that we're big drinkers now. I sound like an alcoholic, but I'm not. But in our 30s, right? We hit our 30s and we started going on cruises. And Chris was so intrigued by these bartenders and what they were doing and how they were mixing it. So he would ask all the questions. So when we bought this house, there's an actual bar. And so Chris is throwing down drinks all the time, but he's so great at it. Like we go out to have a drink now and I'm like, it's not the same. Like my husband makes these drinks so much better. So I tell Chris, I'm like, in your past lifetime, you were a bartender. Like,
I love that. And so let's talk about, because you and Chris work a lot together now.
Yeah.
And, you know, I love the teamwork that you guys do. And I personally attest to your guys' teamwork. Like the success of the two of you are really a true testament of what happens behind closed doors. And I feel like what you guys portray on social media, it's exactly the same way, you know, behind closed doors, which is really special because it is authentic.
Yeah.
I love your guys' relationship. I love, you know, like when I'm around you guys, I can feel it. So what is your number one, you know, tip with working with your spouse? Because how do you guys not fight? Like, or do you?
Oh, we fight. Yeah. Yeah, we are human. Yes, we do fight and we argue and there's things that we don't agree with, but you know, we can agree to disagree at the end of the day. But I will tell you, most of the time we are totally fine. So I have my office. Poor Chris is in the guest bedroom. He's got his office in there. So we do work together, but we don't. Right. So it's funny. I'll be on my phone. If I need a question asked, I either call him or I text him. That's kind of how we do it. But I don't know. I feel like we work great together because I'm the inspiration and he's the information. That's kind of like been our thing. So I'm great.
That was key. Inspiration and information.
Yeah. Like Chris is just very intelligent when it comes to a lot of things. He's just so great as where I can show up, right? I'm always the one that is in front of the camera. He's behind the camera. I can bring in all the people. I can inspire people. I can educate people. And then when it comes to the information, I'm like, no, thanks. I'm not interested. Let me plug you into my husband. And so then he takes it from there. And it's always worked since.
I love that. I love that. 'Cause I know personally that, you know, I work with a lot of people day in and day out. They're like, how do I do this with my spouse? I want to bash his head against the wall, or I want to bash her head against the wall.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know, trying to give advice on that. You never know exactly like how to empower someone in that space because, you know, it is a, you know, a sticky thing that you don't want to like offend or you're like, hey, you know, just say deuces. Like,
yeah. Yeah.
You know, and it's always that sticky situation. So I love that you definitely have that support with Chris, and I love watching you guys. But I want to know, what is your biggest pet peeve? We're going to switch gears a little bit. I want people to get to really know Ashley. So what's your number one biggest pet peeve?
Like for me personally, or like what's a pet peeve of Chris's that he does that's
yours?
My biggest pet peeve.
Yeah, outside of relationship.
Outside of, you're talking about business.
Anything.
Life. Anything in general? Oh geez. Yes. My biggest pet peeve. I would definitely say when people not showing up on time, but it's okay. I love you guys. That wasn't your fault. It was the computer fault. It's the computer's fault.
She called us out because we were late.
I love you guys. No, I would, and actually you guys were the last of the day, so it really doesn't matter. It's totally fine. But when you do have those clients that are working with you, right, and you have a time scheduled and then they show up, like I give a grace period of 5 minutes on my Zoom. If they're not on after 5 minutes, it tells me that they weren't respectful of my time. And so I just stop. And then I put that time into like messaging and doing all the things that I should be doing. They have to reschedule with me. But I've always been that person that's been prompt to everything, if not super early. So if I have an appointment at 5, I'm going to show up at 4:45.
Yes.
Or 4:30, you know? So that is definitely a huge pet peeve of mine is this time.
It's my thing. That's my thing too. I like, there's been a lot of Zooms I've been on these last couple of months, and like, I'm right there. Like I'm a couple minutes early just so that I'm there because I know. And it's like sometimes I'm waiting like 5-10 minutes. I'm like, what are you guys doing? Even for interviews, even for any kind of like event, like I despise being late. I feel like it just doesn't look good.
Yeah.
Well, that, and I mean, I'm always been one to say that like time is money. And like, if you're not going to take my time seriously, why would I take your time seriously?
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. And today was totally like for the record, guys, my internet crashed. I had to figure this out fast, and come to find out, my outlet was broken. So,
It's all good. I promise had nothing to do with that. We're
no.
fine. We're fine.
So
But
that
was my pet peeve.
she's never missed anything with us. Last week, we actually had a scheduled podcast with her. I thought she was dead because she wasn't
Like,
there.
where's Ashley?
And I was freaking out. I'm like, is she okay? And she was like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot, totally out of her character. So I can see where now, like.
Well, I didn't forget. I just thought it was scheduled for Friday and not Thursday. So on my calendar, it was always shown for Friday. But I mean, it's still my fault. I just wrote down the wrong thing.
She's so prompt that I literally thought something was wrong with her. I was like, Ferris, is she okay? And so I started calling her.
She's like, this isn't like her. She's always on time. If anything, she's early.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I said, I can messenger, I guess. And she's like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I totally forgot. I was like, oh, she forgot. I was like, she had it scheduled for the following day.
Yeah.
So if you guys work with Ashley Casey, like, let me just tell you, she is the most prompt, on-time person. And, you know, again, going back to last week, thought she was dead. Like, that's how amazing and how she shows up. So I could totally see that being your pet peeve. But here's the cool part. I want people to also know, what is your biggest fear? Like, what is your biggest, I mean, it could be life, it could be business. What is your biggest fear?
My biggest fear, I would say my biggest fear is losing my soul to the world. Yeah.
And what does that look like? Like, for someone that may not understand, like, losing your soul.
Losing my soul to the world. Yeah. Because my faith means everything to me. Jesus is truly our number one. He's our foundation for everything. And so as this world continues to evolve and all the things that are happening, you know, I just want to make sure that my faith is so strong in the Lord that I don't lose my soul to this world and the environment that we are living in.
I love that. You know, during a time like right now, I truly feel we're at a spiritual war.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Between good and evil. And this is a time, especially for believers, to really lean into their faith, because, you know, with faith, and if you guys don't understand really the true meaning of faith, faith is believing in when you can't see. So when you can't see it, you can't feel it, you just know that you have a higher power to really get through that. So I'm glad that you spoke on that. So again, being, you know, faith-based, you know, Ashley and I, we'll bust out our Bibles. We'll, you know, definitely go back and forth with feedback. And I love that about
And we cuss a little, and that's okay.
Oh yeah. And that's okay too. You know, we definitely cuss a little. We throw on some jeans to wrap, throw our hair up in a bun, and we handle it. But
yeah, exactly.
You know, and then, you know, Ferris comes in the background and does a couple twerks. So that's just
hey. Don't be letting out my secrets now.
Ferris, could you just pop right there on your wall, and we'll do the unedited?
No, I'm not doing it. No, not today. I did have a question for Ash before we close it out here pretty soon. Is you guys are sitting here talking about so many great things, whether it's mindset, whether it's personal development, social media, and all the tips and everything that you guys have talked about. If you could give one piece of advice to somebody that is up leveling and they have, I like to call them haters, people that are hating, that are, you know, Tiffany kind of touched it a little bit, was, oh, well, you know, and you guys kind of said it about friends and your circle, but how have you dealt with the haters, and what advice would you give somebody to be like, okay, well, I'm up leveling, I'm doing all these things, I'm starting businesses, you know, whatever that looks like for any woman or man. Well, how did you deal with the haters, or what's one thing you can say, hey, this is what you can do and keep going forward?
Yeah, I would definitely say, as the years have gone on, now I am at a place where I don't even let it affect me. I don't let it bother me anymore. So if I have a hater, I'm not going to come back and like feel the fire, right? I literally just stop responding, because when you don't respond, it just drives them even more crazy, right? So just be silent and don't allow them to steal your peace and your joy and your happiness. It's not even worth it. It literally is not worth it at the end of the day. And if you change the situation and you think, well, you know what, this really isn't about me at the end of the day. It really isn't. Whoever this hater is going through things, right? They might have had a hard life. And I talked about that. They might have had a hard life. They don't understand. They're not educated, and that's okay. They're just not your people. And so I just don't even allow it anymore. So now what I always tell my clients and those that I'm working with is to make sure that you have some type of list that you carry with you at all times. It could be a Post-it, it could be a notebook paper, but this is where you want to write down the people's whose opinions matter the most to you. So is that your parents? Is that your brother? Is it your best friend? Is it 5 people? Is it 7 people? And so when you have something like this happen where you have a hater come out of the word works, right? Especially on social media, we get it all the time, right? You pull up that paper, and if their name is not on that paper, then their opinions don't matter to you anyway. So why are you letting them destroy the joy and the peace that you're creating within your life, especially during that day? Because what happens is when you do that and you allow that to affect you, then you're breeding that, and then you're bringing in that negative juju and that negative energy into your space, which is going to slow you down. It's going to bring you back. It's just not welcomed anymore in my life. It's not.
Did you guys hear the mic drop? I did.
That's exactly what I was looking for. And only because, Tiffany she's, her brand is launched. And, I told her in the very beginning of this, the start of Tiff Talks podcast, we talked about it years ago.
Yeah.
And, Tiff, I'm going to kind of throw you out there a little bit. Sorry. But, she said, she's like, I'm a little nervous. She goes, I'm a little nervous about certain things resurfacing, or she goes, I'm nervous because people are really going to see me. And I said, so what? So what? What is it? It doesn't matter, because what you have to offer is so much grander than the small pieces of someone saying this or someone doing this. And I love that you said that list. I'm seriously going to make a list now. And I think Tiffany has one, to be honest. I think she has this little book. She has she always writes stuff down all the time. So I really, really love that. And I really appreciate you saying that. And you're such a pleasure. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you. Thank you for having me, you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we'll definitely wrap up with that. And, I love that you use that as an example, because yes, actually is a huge part of my growth. And I'm very honored to have her in my life, and I'm very honored.
Vice versa.
Love you.
Love you too.
It's something that, gosh, I feel like I've known you my entire life, and you have literally been a cheerleader for me, even up until this point, where we've started this podcast completely out of fear. And, I'm not like the biggest like extroverted person. I'm just not, going back to the beginning of our conversation and how we met, like I'm very quiet, and people can take that as like rusting bitch face,
Right. Sure. Yeah.
It's like, but I'm not like, I'm like, once you get to know me, I'm like super nice and sweet.
You're a love bug. Yeah.
Yes. I love hard, and that's where it's like doing this has, really helped me elevate by having you in my circle. So it really means a lot to have you as my, quote unquote board of directors. I stole that from you. I think, a few weeks back I told Ferris, I go, you're my board of directors. And I told her about our conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, really understanding you guys, like Tiff Talks is all about like, with episode 1, Ashley, you'll even be able to hear it. I really shared some stuff, and it was, I'm scared, a lot of things could come out of the woodworks. And so I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. Oh, let's not do this. Oh, and you know what? We just said, screw it. We're just going to take one little thing out, and then the rest, we're just going to go with it.
And that's exactly it. It's just taking it day by day. And at the same time, like you said, because you already know these things, that's the power of our words and the things that we're speaking and what we're attracting, right? So this podcast is going to be flipping amazing. It's going to bring the masses. You're going to go viral. Like, I am going to be your biggest cheerleader. I'm going to be first person on stage, or not stage, but watching you on the floor, while you're on stage. Like, I'm going to be there, and it's going to get there. And I already know that, because at the end of the day, that's who you are. I see that. I envision that, Tiff. Like, this is just the start for you. Like, and so many other levels. You know what I mean?
Chills. I got chills.
I know, good guy. And it's like crazy, because I know that I can call Ashley and her butt would be on a plane, like first thing, making sure that she was there to support. And that's what I love so much about you guys. And, for those of you who don't know who she is, or, she treats everybody the same. Once you're in her life, whether you're her client or her good friend, obviously, like, we get a little bit more perks being friends, because I get to get some more juice from you and just really soak up your love and your energy. But I will say, you know, she treats her clients the same, and you know, anybody that works with her would be able to get that, not only authenticity but that love, and she just brings you in and she wants you to win, and she'll do whatever it takes. Her goal becomes your goal, you know, your life and your aspirations becomes a part of her life and aspiration. So Ashley, where can everybody find you?
The best place for everybody to find me would be on Instagram, and you can just literally do the Instagram handle Ashley Casey, and I will populate. But that is really where I'm at all day long. So whether you send me a message or you leave me a comment on a picture, that's going to be the best place for you to find me.
Awesome. Well, this is definitely not the only time you guys will be seeing Ashley, because knowing her, she's going to have a new something, you know, something in the works. I mean, her company already is incredible, but I'm sure they're going to revamp it. I'm sure there's going to be a ton more additions and innovations and everything. I just know her, and her drive is so special. So I'm just so honored to have you on. I love you so much, and thank you.
I love you too. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm so proud of you. Seriously, like this is going to be the bomb podcast for sure.
Well, I love you, and you guys, we'll see you soon.
Bye, Ferris. Bye, Tiff.